What is going on today, guys? And today in this video we are going to be looking at Tarkov PvE and to see if it has changed in over a year. If you guys don't know, Escape from Tarkov has officially released, and we are going to be taking a look at the state of PvE as it is right now. Now, I have originally done a few videos of Tarkov PvE, but that was over a year ago when it first initially released in the beta version. And I'm going to go over a few points that I made in the videos and to see how things have changed over time, to see how AI has changed, how AI movement has changed, just all the AI stuff in general that I have went over, and I'm going to go over that in this video. I have put a lot of time into PvE. As you guys can see, I have over 500 raids, and this has taken me quite a while to do, so I do have a pretty good understanding on how the AI and everything works. Now, back in the beta, when PvE first came out, I did maybe a little over 300 raids, so I have pretty much done a lot more in this go round to fully understand everything. This has taken me quite a while to do. The PMC movement is a little weird compared to the previous version of the game, the beta version. Now, they do still seem like they have a set area that they roam around in. They don't really go outside of that area unless they are like in a conflict or something. Then they normally return to that area. Or they do like patrols from one building to a building that's across the street, and then they go back to the previous building. That is from what I have seen. They don't really start from one end to the end of the map and go to the other end. I have not seen that at all. Normally when they spawn, they go directly to the building that they are like assigned to. That's how it seems. And then they just roam around from the set area that they are designated to. You won't find them off in a little piece of a corner of a map somewhere or a piece of a little empty section. You won't find that. They normally stay around like high loot areas. Like take for instance on customs. If they spawn near dorms, they're most likely going to stay inside of the dorms. They won't be out in the woods around the dorms. They will not do that. They will stay inside of the dorms, and they could travel back and forth from both dorms. They always seem to hang around high loot trafficking areas. The only maps that I really see the PMCs roam around on is labs and factory. They will only roam around on them maps because they are very small, and I guess they just have them set to where they can just roam around and go around loot everything. But on other bigger maps like woods, reserve, they seem to have like 2 or 3 set buildings that they are designated to, and they will just stay in that area, which is kind of annoying, and it kind of sucks because you always know they're either going to be in this building, or this building. And if they're not there, they're going to be in that bunker, or in that building. There are only a handful of PMCs on the map at a time, and they can only be in a certain amount of places. But once you get used to the maps and where they spawn and where they go, it's pretty much easy to get rid of them because you know, hey, they're going to be in this building or that one or that one. I have noticed sometimes when the raid timer gets low at like 6 or 7 minutes left in the raid, sometimes you will see like scavs and PMCs like run towards the exit. Now, I have only seen this a very small amount of times, but I don't know if they actually have added that or if it's just like a bug or something, but I have seen them run into the direction of an extract. So is the AI movement better in the full release or the beta version? I say it is a little bit better in the full release. I have noticed a lot of things that they have fixed, but it still needs a lot of work in order for it to be decent, but it's okay at the moment. Now we are going to talk about PMC difficulty and the PMC combat movement. Now, the difficulty of the PMCs compared to the beta version of the PMCs is totally night and day difference. The PMCs now in the full release are so much more easier to kill compared to the beta version. In the beta version, the PMCs would completely laser you from literally across the map and kind of give you a challenge in certain scenarios. In the full release, they are pretty wimpy, shall I say. Some sometimes they could be cracked, but like 90% of the time they're pretty much nothing and easy to deal with and get rid of. I'm not quite sure what they did to them, but they pretty much made them weak. But if they do catch you out in the open, say like in the middle of a field, they can laser you because you can't really get behind anything. The only thing you can do is lay down, but they will still get you even if you lay down. But 90% of the time, like I said, they are really easy to deal with. Their aim isn't that good. Like sometimes you could be like literally point blank shooting at you and they'll be completely missing you, and sometimes you'll be far away and they'll get a couple good shots on you and almost kill you. But other than that, the AI just isn't really in a good place for combat efficiency, in my opinion. Now, their movements when they are in combat is a little bit awkward and weird. Like sometimes when they see you, they'll start shooting you and you'll start shooting them, and all of a sudden, once you look back, they'll be laying down in the middle of a street, not behind cover or anything. They'll just be laying down, shooting you, missing you. I don't really understand why they lay down in random places in the open. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, the PMCs actually do heal if you give them a chance to heal, or sometimes you'll be in the middle of shooting them and they'll just start healing while they're getting pelted with bullets. That doesn't really make any sense either. They used to never do that in the previous version of the game. I've never really seen them heal at all, but they do that now. They do heal, which is a bonus, but they don't use stems or anything like that, which would be pretty interesting if they did implement to where they could use stems and make them a little bit better. Another thing you got to look out for is when you spawn into a raid. This only happened to me a very few times, but it is possible. The PMCs will spawn with you when you get into a raid, and they'll just start hauling ass into a different direction. You'll hear running, and then you could shoot them. I do not have any recording of this, but this has happened to me a few times. So be wary, as they can spawn with you when you get into a raid. Another thing you got to look out for is when you kill PMCs, sometimes just a random grenade will pop up out of their dead body like a martyrdom, which is very weird. I don't know if they're like they were going to throw a grenade when they died and then it just shot out of their ass or what happened, but this does happen, so be careful of that also. And when you start engaging with the PMCs, they try to spread out and take cover and try to hit you from a distance. Now, in the previous version, they used to be really aggressive and come straight at you, like run towards you like full force and try to like close in on you. They don't really do that in the full release. Maybe 95% of the time, they'll just spread out and try to take you out from a distance. But that other 5%, they may, one or two may push in on you and try to get you, but you don't really have to worry about that. They'll just try to stay back and shoot you from a distance. Now, the PMC reaction times are pretty dull compared to the previous beta version of the game. In the beta version of the game, they used to have reaction time like bosses do. Like automatically shoot you and do a lot of damage. In the full release, they are kind of mixed in between to where they can be crack shots and just shoot you automatically when they see you, or they wait a few seconds then shoot you. But majority of the time, there's a leeway in between when they see you and you start shooting them. You'll most likely get them before they get you. Yeah, their reaction time isn't really that great. It could be better, I believe, but we're going to have to see further down the road. Now, another thing is PMC versus PMC. The AI shooting each other. This can be a little weird. So all of a sudden, you'll just hear a bunch of gunfire, and the gunfire will just keep going on for like minutes on end. They'll just keep shooting each other, but come to find out, they're behind a wall or like behind some type of structure or something, just shooting the structure, trying to hit the other PMC. They'll just like stand still and just constantly spray the wall that they're looking at, but they're looking in the direction of the other PMC or / scav or whatever it is that they're shooting at. They'll just constantly shoot the wall, which is kind of annoying because you'll just hear constant gunfire and think a big battle's happening when it's really not. They're just shooting the wall for no reason. A good thing that they took away, PMCs or scavs do not shoot through bushes now, which is great. In the beta version, they would straight laser you through bushes and you couldn't literally see them at all, but they would sure as hell see you. and kill you instantly. But they have fixed that. They do not shoot you through bushes like crazy anymore. So that is a plus. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the boss AI. Bosses are 50% to 75% spawn chance, depending on the boss that you are going after. And also some bosses, I believe like the goons and the cultists are like very low percent chance. I think the goons are like 25% spawn chance, and the cultists might be like 5%. I'm not quite sure, but the majority of the bosses are 50 to 75%. The boss AI is still pretty much the same. They are very cracked when it comes to shooting you and seeing you from a distance, and they'll just completely laser you. They are still like that. Their difficulty doesn't seem to have changed any. Their guards, some bosses' guards are very cracked, and they are like 90% better than the PMC bots that you'll see roaming around. So I'm more afraid of the boss's guards than I am the PMC. The boss's guards do laser you. The bosses laser you. The PMCs, as I've said previously, they don't really laser you that often, but it can happen. The boss AI and their guards AI are still all the same, just the same as the scav AI. They still do all the same scav stuff. The scav's accuracy is completely dog water now. They couldn't hit an elephant if it was right in front of them. Sometimes they'll hit you once or twice, but the majority of the time they won't hit you at all, which is kind of good. It kind of goes with like the lore of the game, where they're just like the scavengers just trying to survive, don't really know how to shoot weapons or anything like that, which kind of makes sense. But scavs aren't really a threat. They're only really a threat if there's like 4 or 5 of them together shooting you, but other than that, like 1 or 2 scavs are like nothing. They're pretty easy to deal with. The bosses actually do shoot PMCs now. Previously in the beta version, they wouldn't really attack each other, shall I say. Like I would see them just like walk past each other and not shoot each other or anything like that, which was really weird in the beta version. But now they actually do try to kill each other. Like you will see PMC bodies laying around, and you could look at their dog tag and see who killed them, and you'll know if it's like killer that killed them. It'll say it, or like Gluhar or something like that would say would killed them. So that does happen now. So bosses do destroy PMCs, and scavs also shoot the PMCs now. They do both kill each other, unlike the previous beta version where they would just like walk past each other and act like they're both scavs, which that doesn't happen anymore. They do exchange bullets with each other, which is how it should have been when the beta version of the PvE came out, but it wasn't. It was really weird seeing them like interact with each other, because like sometimes you would see them shoot each other, then they would stop, then they would like walk together. It was just really weird when the PvE first came out, but all that is fixed now, so that is good. Alright, let's talk about raiders for a little bit. Raiders are pretty much still the same. They're not really as cracked as they used to be, but raiders are still not to be messed with. I think raiders are still a little bit better than the PMCs. They kind of remind me of bosses' guards sometimes. Sometimes the raiders are like scavs, but majority of the time they are pretty decent. But the raiders do still have that scav AI voice lines. For some reason, I don't know why raiders have scav voice lines, but they still do. Unfortunately, they don't have their own like set voice lines or anything. They don't sound like PMCs or bear PMCs or anything like that. They just have the scav voice lines, which suck. I think they need to have their own personality. But that's just me. Now, another thing that is pretty interesting that they added is scavs, PMCs, and raiders actually do loot items now. Compared to the beta version, they didn't really loot anything. They might loot like a gun. That would pretty much be it. They would loot like guns for some reason. But now they actually loot items that are in containers, that are on dead scavs or dead PMCs. They will loot that. Or they can loot boss gear. So be very careful when you kill bosses and PMCs, because they will come eventually and loot it up, and you will have to kill that specific scav / PMC that took that item in order to get it back. And also, if you kill PMCs or raiders or scavs that are near high value loot areas, they could have that high value loot on them. So always check their bags and pockets and all that for that loot that they could possibly have from that area. Alright, now we are going to talk about PMC loot. The loot that you can get from PMCs are pretty decent. They could have some really high valued scopes, silencers, helmets, body armor on. This is very random. It doesn't matter the level that you are or the level of the PMC. The loot that they have is automatically random when they enter the game. Like sometimes you could find them with slick armor, or they can have like a vortex razor sight, or like a super expensive suppressor silencer for a gunsmith that you need to do. They could have that, or a good grip that is very expensive, or like a really good helmet. I haven't seen PMCs with an Alton helmet or anything like that, but like a U-lock and an exfil helmet, airframe, they do have them on sometimes. And they can have night vision if it is nighttime. PMCs do wear night vision. As I said, it is all random if they do have that item or not, so keep all that in mind. Everything on them is completely random. And from the previous beta version, their loot now is a lot better than what it used to be. Their weapon durability is a lot better than the previous beta version. In the beta version, their weapon durability would be like scav durability, where the weapon would be like almost broke. And if you were to carry the weapon out of the raid and try to sell it, you would have to repair it and then sell it. But they have fixed that. Sometimes you could find a PMC weapon that's almost basically 100% durability, or sometimes like 60%. It just fluctuates in between 50% to 100%. It's just random. It's not basically broke anymore. So that is a big plus that they have addressed that. Now we're going to get into missions. There are some missions, just like in the beta version, where you have to kill a certain amount of PMCs in like a certain area of a map. Let's take Factory, for example. You have to kill, I think it's 6 PMCs in the office area in Factory. Now this took me forever to do because I could never get PMCs into the office area. I would have to kind of lure them. Have to like shoot at them to try to get them to come to me. This took me at least 2 hours to try to do, just to try to lure PMCs into the office area so I could get rid of them. But there are missions like this that do take quite a while because it is so hard to find PMCs in that area, because sometimes they will spawn in that area where they need to be and sometimes they don't, or they will move out of that area eventually, do their patrolling, because they can patrol out of the area that they need to be in for you to kill them in order to get certain missions done. It is just a big hassle, and I kind of wish that they would fix it, because if you spawn on one end of the map and if they spawn in that area, they could eventually die to other PMCs or scavs, or they will eventually just roam out of it and then possibly die out of that area also. It's just a big headache, and I just wanted to bring it up to let you guys know that there are some difficulties with some missions that require PMC eliminations in areas. Now, another big factor in the beta version is it was really hard to find red flares in the beta version of the game. Now, this is still kind of a thing. It took me 333 raids to find a red flare on a scav. Now, some of you might have different experience, but it took me so long for me to find a red flare. The easiest way to find red flares that I have found is in marked rooms. You could get a bunch of red flares if you just go to marked rooms and open them, especially on reserve. That way you can hit all 3 marked rooms, and there's a pretty good chance for a red flare to spawn in there. That is how I've found all of mine. And another thing that they still haven't added or anything, I don't believe they have intentions on adding it either, is prestiging in PvE mode. There is no prestige that you could do like there is in PvP mode, which kind of sucks, to be honest, for players that don't want to participate in the PvP. There is also some pretty cool items in the prestiging system that you cannot get in the PvE version, which just kind of sucks. But that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys found this video helpful or anything like that, please make sure to hit that like button. Or if you guys have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and leave a comment. But without further ado, I will talk to you guys later.